2023 Auburn University Marching Band. For your halftime entertainment, we celebrate the 43-year reign of the Speed Metal Kings, Metallica. With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
It's Sunday evening once again, and that means it's time for another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast, the main show of everything we do here at E2C Network. 2 major topics coming your way tonight, as well as a plethora of other Auburn stuff in the Auburn potpourri segment. We are going to try to get to all of that as best we can on episode 146. Let's get into it right now. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it or qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it might be, though, is if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us and what we're going to be doing on episode 146. As always, I'm your host, Kyle Loomis, coming from once again parts unknown out there with a very odd clamoring of clang, clang, clang everywhere. I don't know why, but also joining me in his normal location, very comfortably, Mr. Austin Scott. Welcome back, sir.
Thanks so much. Good to see you, Kyle, War Eagle. It's funny you say that. I've been rearranging this room though, and
have you? Next
time you and I in the distant future, I guess, go on location from HQ 2.0. I'll have to show you, but there's a lot that's changed in here. So not so much this way. I lost my desk here. So it's changing, but I'm certainly still comfortable in my own home in the loveliest village on the plains, far from any quanga.
Yeah, I don't know why there's just this odd noise that continues to ring out across everywhere I roll around here. I don't know, but listen, it is what it is, and we're still on the road traveling right now for family stuff, and we'll hopefully be back there sooner rather than later. We make do with what we can. I've gotten used to it though, so we're here. Hopefully a little less. Now, last night, honestly, for those that joined the post-game reaction show for Auburn versus Missori. Once again, I know that wasn't the most fun show we could do, but you probably just heard the roaring of torrential downpour and rain here. And it's I got a tin roof above me essentially. So it just, I'm surprised we could hear anything over the complaining yet last night on the stream, much less the rainstorms. Like literally when it rains, it pours. We'll talk about it. We'll get there. As always, we got 2 major topics for you. We're going to be discussing this evening, obviously Auburn versus Missori, things that we want to break down from that. We'll then talk about something we've been putting off for weeks now. The SEC schedules for 4 years because of my schedule, because of your schedule, because of other things that happened. We finally are getting around to doing that tonight. So we'll certainly talk about those things. And of course, Auburn potpourri. I want to start us with this one. I've said this before on previous live streams. I think we need to do a better job as I'm saying mainly for me, but just as content creators as well, of especially when it's so easy to dive into the negative of what you don't like, especially specifically about football and stuff like that. But some of the good things that are getting lost now, and you can accuse me of being a Pollyanna, a sunshine pumper, whatever. I take that as a badge of honor if I get that label towards me. But I think it's important that we raise those voices up more, especially during this time. I got to give my props, Austin, to Champ Anthony. We'll talk about the game, but after the loss yesterday, I just thought he did an outstanding job. If you've seen some of the videos that were shared by other media members in the locker room after we're talking about his perspective on things and how he's saying so positive or just being upbeat about what the team is going through right now. And I'm not sharing the fullness of every quote here, but he essentially said this. We shared it out on social media. You don't know when your last play is. I get to play football at Auburn in the SEC. That's how my spirit is high. So I just think that's an important thing. Frankly, this is a young guy that has more maturity than a lot of people do on social media these days and comment sections and things like that. And he's actually going through the difficulties of this season. So I just want to give some props to start off the show to Champ Anthony for just being a captain. And there's been a little bit of that going on this week of our captains needing to be captains and things like that. So I just wanted to start the show off with a little bit of a feel-good story for one of our guys.
Yeah, and you can look at Champ's career so far and see that can resonate with him, because even this year he's dealt with injuries that have kept him off the field. Obviously a gruesome injury last year against Arkansas, I think it was, where he laid the boom and came up hurting from it. Was it?
Was it? No, I for some reason continue to conflate the hit that forget the linebacker's name that laid it on the Penn State guy. Anyway,
and Papo, yeah.
You are correct. Continue. I'm derailing your segment.
But yeah, and so just impressive from Champ to still have that mature response, like you said, and just good to see from in a day and age in Auburn football era right now where that could easily be something that is easily not said, especially from someone who's on the field, contributing. I love that. Kyle, did you know that this week was heyday?
Every single year, Austin, I feel like I find out the week of. So maybe that's on me for not paying attention and doing my due diligence as an Auburn content creator, for being aware of when that's happening. But I feel like it just gets announced all of a sudden, and here we are. It's heyday week, or heyday, the week of heyday. So yes, I did become aware just late.
Sure, yeah, I think that I'm with you in that boat. I think even when I was a student, I became aware later than I probably need to be that it was heyday day.
It feels like it's part of your job now.
Now I did know earlier.
I'm just kidding.
And so that's what I was getting to. I did know earlier. From a professional standpoint this time. And so, but I just, that's such a unique tradition at Auburn that it's still very underrated and a lot of people don't know about. So I hope people got to be able to see and learn about heyday some more this week at Auburn, and just a really, really fun tradition that is uniquely Auburn, has a lot of history tied to it.
Yep.
But it was this past weekend. So if you did not, hey.
Yeah. Hey, everybody out there. So I love the heyday concept. It's very simple. It goes back to, I'm going to butcher the story behind this, but it basically was a way to build unity amongst the Auburn students, especially during those coming back that had felt disconnected during wartime and stuff like that. And so it's just it's a simple thing. Everybody comes together. They obviously do things out in the quads to facilitate that. This year they had like a live stream going, I believe, on,
I think I saw that, yeah,
one of the campus screens. So it seemed like there was a little bit more of a production for that this year. And obviously we get Heyday Market downtown that obviously pays homage to that. It's a cool Auburn tradition that a lot of people forget about. It's so simple, so important, but maybe even more important during times like this for us to have a community that we all agree about in the Auburn space, and not too much to disagree with too much in that space. But yeah, obviously a great thing this week. So there are good things going on in the Auburn space, folks, no matter how much it may feel like it's not that at this point. Let's move into Auburn potpourri, dive into some of the other Auburn topics. Honestly, we probably could have spent a lot of time and even a full segment on this basketball preseason week. Can we just acknowledge this, Austin? We are talking about legitimate basketball topics. It is preseason in the middle of October. This just feels weird. The fact that tip-off, the equivalent of SEC Media Days, happened the same night. There's a preseason game. Do you like that it's this early, or where are we at in your preference of where we're at right now?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think especially given, we can all have our attention a little elsewhere.
They're like, just talk about it already. We'll get there.
Their attention a little elsewhere helps. But I think it makes it really exciting. Now, granted, Auburn has a unique situation with a new head coach, Steven, taking over, and a lot of new players on the team that you're kind of like, I'd like to get to know this team a little earlier than the beginning of the season because there's so much new. But I think that when you look at Auburn being able to play another very good opponent and Power 5 opponent in Oklahoma State as their first exhibition game, they'll get who's the next one? Memphis? Will they play Memphis in a?
Yes, Memphis and Atlanta.
And Memphis and Atlanta. So the fact that there's like high quality exhibition games piques my interest a lot more, even though it's a little bit earlier. So I think and to talk about the game, I guess if you want to go ahead and go into it, it's just, really fun. Really fun game to watch, just back and forth. defense was kind of optional. That won't sit well with Coach Stephen Pearl, and nor should it. And I think that that's his MO. So to me, that kind of gives even a little more encouragement that the things that are maybe not his forte were clicking well. Tahad, had a rough night, and they still score 90 plus with overtime. But I was impressed with the team. I think there's a lot of contributors on the team. We talk every year about how you fit them all together and who plays well with who, where the cogs turn the best with who else is on the court. So I thought it was really exciting. I think it looked like a really good atmosphere. I'm shocked that Boutwell Auditorium was able to put together a game like that.
Yeah.
From being from Birmingham. So I thought it was a great event, and I love that Auburn was featured, even though they came away losing that game with a valiant effort from Oklahoma State. I was impressed with what we saw and loved getting into it this early.
3 players for them in 20-point situations like that for Oklahoma State. So Auburn does feel like in basketball, they just catch people on their best shooting nights ever, which is really weird. That just is something that seems to follow in the Auburn experience. But most people were not overreacting in any way towards this thing. You good over there? What's going on? You got a lot going on in the background.
I'm good.
But he's itching because the basketball itch is finally starting to be.
I'm getting self-conscious about my hair here.
I know. We're good. That's why I wear hats. That's, and we don't have to worry about those things. Anyway, the basketball situation this week, obviously nothing really to get too worried about. Frankly, I saw exactly what I expected to see: a lack of defense, at least what we're used to, because it's a first preseason game and everybody's just running and gunning at this point. Yes. And I saw some tiredness, some, not necessarily out of shape, but we're not fully into season shape quite just yet. The first of people forget how intense and how much the game of basketball, running back and forth and trying to manage all those different situations is on the body, even for these top tier athletes. And so I saw even Tahad Pettiford out there, appeared to be breathing pretty heavy. He did have what most people would consider not as stellar of a night, but can we give a little bit of props to somebody who's had all the hype built around him? And it's one game, it's a preseason game, but my gosh, I think we got us a baller in Keyshawn Hall. He looks very complete of a basketball player. And I heard all this talk about him calling himself a big guard, that he can do it all, that he's likes to take over games. And boy, he was right. He was correct in one game.
Yeah, absolutely lit it up. I love how much he gets to the rack and was able to play through contact. He backed up his talk even that morning at SEC Media Days on how much of a scorer he is and how much he loves to get the ball in the hoop. And it was impressive to see. I also, Elijah Freeman was someone who we talked about a lot, who was brought up a lot more recently at the end of fall camp, that was somebody from the D2 ranks that might be coming on and someone that can take that next step. I do not want to put any high expectations or high accolades on someone who has just only played their first exhibition at the D1 level, but the way he moved looks similar to what Auburn wants out of that 3-4 spot. I thought he moved very similar to how Chuma Okeke moved when he was here. Looked very similar in how he was playing. I'm not saying that's what he will end up being. I hope so, but I think that when Auburn scouts guys and when Bruce and now Steven coaches guys like that, they know what they want and what they're looking for in that system. And certainly Elijah Freeman looks like he might have the build and might have the movement of what could have been stars in this offense. So really, really funny.
The other thing too, you want to talk about like new names and faces, Sebastian Williams-Adams, which talk about another element here to round out the whole first preseason game here. He did outstanding, I thought, coming in place throughout the game, but at the end of the game for an injury that happened. So you got a bunch of, whether it's someone at the D2 level that Auburn and Bruce did bring him in. So did the rest of the staff and Steven as well, finding these guys that are, maybe not thought of as much by other programs and seeing that they're ready, bringing them in. Sebastian Williams-Adams through the high school ranks. So it's a good, just smattering here of transfers, people coming up from the D2 ranks, high schoolers, all that together. And then the final note, obviously, Keyshawn Murphy, the one bad thing about so much of the preseason hype and games and things like that we're getting, which is exciting, is you risk injuries. Keyshawn Murphy goes down. Everybody you could feel here we go. This is the Auburn week again. Reports, as far as I saw, they're not too concerned about it. As far as anything else
that's what I saw. It looked like, everything they came back looked positive. Certainly when you see that knee brace go on, once he gets to the bench, you're like, oh my goodness. Like, and I'm trying to remember exactly. He was just going to help up somebody and slips on a slick spot on the court.
Such an Auburn thing to happen.
I vehemently hate the Jabba thing. When it's used like
the
that,
negative side of Auburn,
the negative side,
Auburn,
but that's what I felt in that moment. I thought, you've got to be kidding me. But it sounds like good news, and I'm really excited to get to see this Auburn roster at their full potential and not lose an injury like that.
Oh, and look, you still got more to come. Memphis and Atlanta, like you talked about. So get excited about it, folks. It's here.
I love that it was televised too. Like
televised.
We usually don't get exhibitions like it's normally radio, and not that that's bad, but love that we got to see the team for the first time.
It's the great thing about the world of content and networks and all that stuff. You can finally find opportunities to do things like broadcast them on YouTube and things of that nature. More to come from the Auburn basketball team pretty soon here. Let's do a little bit of Auburn good football news here, and which is pretty surprising and not consistent with a lot of the narrative that a fan base wants you to know, that the sky is falling in the football program. Now, granted, this happened before this last game as well. I'm going to give you the full context and not act like I'm not talking about every single aspect of it. But in the recruiting space, we saw one Shadarius Tootle commit to Auburn a long time ago. Like, I remember I was in a different space altogether than this on the road doing that commitment video. He then flipped to Georgia and been there for a while. Well, this past week, he flipped back to Auburn. Now, here's what annoys me the most. And look, coaching futures, all that aside, people trying to attribute that that's solely because of DJ Durkin. No, the head coach has just much as control and effect on the flip back, the early come in the flip back as well. So this is a win for everybody that's just trying to apply it only to DJ Durkin. You're just being petty at this point. But the important thing is even with Auburn struggling and on the football field at this moment, they're still finding ways to bring people into the fold that they previously had. So we'll see if it sticks. I always get a little bit nervous, Austin, when someone flips once.
We get
a little flip action back and forth. It gets a little bit crazy at times. Do you think it sticks here?
It's interesting. I think the part that gives you optimism is it happened ironically after the loss to Georgia, which is where he was flipping from or had already flipped to. It gets confusing. But we've seen this before a lot, right? I think we all remember Antonio Coleman last year with Auburn and Alabama, back and forth, ends up staying with Auburn.
Was that like 3 times, 4 times?
I think 3. I do not remember.
Oh.
And so with Shadarius Tootle, good to see him back in the fold. You hope that it's something where it reaffirms what he liked about Auburn in the first place and his commitment there. And then, and one of our viewers brought up, and I was going to say this too, is his brother. I think he not as highly rated, but his brother is committed as well. And so I think from the junior college ranks. And so you love to see the family connections. We talk about that a lot on the show.
Yeah.
But certainly hope that both of them stick with Auburn and become big contributors down the road. Long way to go in recruiting. It always is. Lots of things to happen throughout the rest of the year. So we'll have to see it, and we'll keep you updated on it.
I'm just excited that we get to say the name Tootle again.
Tootle.
Toodaloo. Okay, sorry, that was bad.
You ever seen, really random side note here, you ever seen Mickey Mouse Clubhouse?
I am aware of it, yes.
Oh, Toodles. That's their little helper.
Okay.
I got that in my head. I got that. If he's starting, you will hear Oh Toodles from me a lot.
I can already see it. And I'm already thinking of ways to avoid that in the segment from now on. Well, welcome back to Shadarius Tootle. Final note here in Auburn Potpourri, non-sports technically related here. We've talked a lot about the advent of NIL and the additions of trying to utilize the spaces that Auburn has for other events to create the fullness of the Auburn experience. we've got some opportunities officially coming to Auburn and for the music venues. That partnership that we talked about, where they were going to start bringing in acts and music opportunities. That's already, some things have been announced. We've talked about that. The latest one this week, in the middle of the football game, Riley Green, from what I understand, he's an Auburn fan as well. He is coming back to town to do a little bit of a concert, which basically is a benefit for NIL. All proceeds, or most proceeds, I don't know if it's all, are going to go to Auburn's NIL the night before the Iron Bowl Eve. So Black Friday, you're going to get an opportunity to see Riley Green in Neville Arena with some others as well. They're going to be part of the show. This is probably, of the ones that have been announced, would you agree, the biggest one thus far, at least with connections to Auburn? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, this is the biggest one, I think, so far. And I'm gonna tout myself here that I said Riley Green would be coming as a concert here when we talked about this.
You did.
So I think I might have said it as a bigger part of a bigger concert, maybe in the stadium, but it doesn't matter. I said it. And so no, this is the biggest one. I think this gives the most name recognition for a lot of people with him being more local, from northern Alabama, but has some Auburn ties, wears a lot of Auburn hats, and wears Auburn on his sleeve a good bit in some of his songs. So I think it'll be really special for him to get to be one of the first to play in Neville Arena, after these ones we've already talked about, but one of the first ones to usher this new era in. And like you said, it gets to be with a couple others. I think I saw an 07 Auburn grad in Drake White, and another artist in Hannah McFarland. So very, very cool opportunity. Love that it's the night before the Iron Bowl. Keeps a lot of people in town, have something fun to do, something very unique to do. And then, like you mentioned, with all proceeds or most proceeds going to On to Victory, it's kind of one of those things. And John Cohen talked about this week. It's one of those things that Auburn kind of looked at when they were considering the Baylor move to the game to Atlanta, of kind of recouping some of that money and that tourism and giving fans an experience. It's not the same. It's never going to be a perfect apples to apples and even trade-off here. But I think Auburn is exercising all their opportunities of how they can maybe generate a little more revenue and keep a competitive roster and all those things. So very cool. It should be a really cool concert. And tickets go on sale this Friday. Is that right, Kyle?
Sounds right. And I said it to you pre-show. Now I'm doubting myself, but I think that is correct.
I think that's right. Yeah.
We've only got a month really until it happens.
Yeah.
So they've got to go on sale now. So a good reason for, look, it's Thanksgiving week. I know everybody's got plans. You don't really go Black Friday shopping anymore in the true sense that it used to be. So this is another reason to come to campus early. Obviously the students will be gone, and come hang out. Get ready for the Iron Bowl. No matter how the team's doing, the Iron Bowl is always fun and interesting. So don't miss that opportunity to be here celebrating just a little bit early with Riley Green in Neville Arena as you get ready for Iron Bowl weekend. That'll cover Auburn potpourri for us this week. We're going to start diving into our main topics, and certainly this is where the vibes change just a little bit. That's where we need like a little sounder. Come down.
It's like in the fourth quarter when the lights go.
But that was good. But then it comes back up. I don't know how we're gonna. So this is what this show's going, like up, down, up. So Auburn versus Missouri. Auburn loses again. 0-4. Four straight losses. 0-4 in the SEC.
It's hard to talk about. I don't blame you.
It's hard to talk about. So we're certainly going to give our thoughts about it. We'll give maybe some grades if we have some time, and then try to look a little bit ahead to Arkansas with a little bit of a preview if we can. But I want to take 2 seconds to maybe look broader than just this game. And I'm a big fan of context along with the emotions of the situation. I know y'all get annoyed with me on this show, but I know that, having a well-rounded view is sometimes a little bit difficult for some people out there. I think people need to once again realize that every one of these games that Auburn has lost, Auburn has been in a position to win, has been leading in some of those games. Every one of them is ranked. Every one of them is in the hunt for the playoff for the SEC at this current time. Maybe Missouri, not as much because they've got to overcome Alabama, but as long as you're 1-2 at the end, it doesn't matter. But I'm not trying to spin this thing and make it seem like everything's hunky-dory. But that's an important factor that I think is getting lost in a lot of the commentary. Like, we've got some people acting like Auburn is losing to the old Vanderbilts, the Kentucky right now, Arkansas, and the worst of the SEC 4 weeks in a row. Is that fair, Austin? Am I trying to just grasp through things here? Is that a good?
Well, it's important context to have.
Right.
It's been a stretch of 4 games that nobody wants to go through. Now, I think that it's fair to recognize that, and I think Coach Freeze did this in his post game show, that the roster that Auburn's put together, the talent gap is not wide, if they're at all, and
It's not an
that's
excuse
something.
anymore.
Correct. And that's something that has been something he's preached a lot over the last couple of years is we're still trying to get that talent in the roster where it is able to be competitive against the rest of these teams in this league. Foreigners from Potato Land made that happen where it wasn't able to be that way. And so to get that back on track has taken several years, or a few years now. But like you mentioned, it's not an excuse anymore. And so I think that is the frustrating part for a lot of fans, is that we're there. With the preseason expectations were smattered across the board. Some probably really high, some maybe a little more realistic, but also, it was leaned into by this program a little bit, by quotes at SEC Media, things like that, to where it felt like maybe it gives some credence. It's frustrating. Nobody's sugarcoating that. I don't think anybody's happy about it. I feel like I say that every week, but I truly mean it. I don't think anyone is pleased at that Auburn's 0-4 in the SEC again, and that, yes, they've been in the games and it's close, but they're still finding ways to lose. It's frustrating. It's downright frustrating, and nobody's happy about it. It just feels like another punch each week. You mentioned those teams that it's not like Auburn's losing to. I think the good news here is that Auburn still has those teams on its schedule, and while we're at 3-4 right now as a 7 games into the season, those teams are still on Auburn's schedule to maybe turn this thing around and pick up some of the pieces to turn the season into something that certainly is not elite and not something that we wish for, but also is still a step in the right direction. So that starts this weekend at Arkansas, and we'll have to see how Auburn does. It's a road game, but I think you can make an argument, even if you're the most black and white fan looking at it, that Auburn was not the favored team from the roster, from even coaching, whatever you want to say, the last 4 games. You now go face an interim head coach on the road with a roster that is not up to Auburn standards, and I think you might find out a lot more this week. So we'll see.
Yeah, it would be a nice little turnaround. We'll see if it happens here. Kind of maybe putting bow for us in the analysis of the Missori game here. I think people are applying a lot of what's been going on with complaints and stuff in this current game, because I do think that there were some good things that happened with this offense this week. Some of the bad really takes away from that. When we can't score a touchdown, that probably puts Auburn in the driver's seat for the rest of the game. You do that, we're not talking about overtime. You got special teams issues. Your heart just goes out to Alex McPherson. The defense is just stepping up every single game. And I got to give the defense this as well. Every one of these teams that we faced have had some type of, whether it was their passing game or their run attack, they've been attacked from all different facets that you can be as a defense, and have risen to the occasion. All we heard this week was Missori was going to run over Auburn. Ahmad Hardy was going to run over Auburn. The dude had like 2.5 per carry. So no one's doubting Auburn's defense at this point. Special teams is what it is. There's a lot still going on with it. The offense is frustrating. I've thrown it all out there for you, but I'd love to hear how you're processing the loss to Missori, and then if you would be so kind as to maybe grade offense, defense, and special teams in whatever order you want to do that.
Yeah, sure. I think, like you said, there were good parts and bad parts of the game, and it looked like Auburn was doing something they had it fixed. It's the second game in a row Auburn's come out with their scripted first drive and just absolutely walk down the field and go straight in the end zone. You wonder, why can that offense not be the one we see as the game progresses on and as adjustments are made and things like that.
Giving up sacks on third down. Sorry, I didn't say that.
Correct. And so, those are the things you love to see, and you see the potential. And I think that's where a lot of fans probably get frustrated is you see that it can work, and why does it continue not to work after the first drive or after the first quarter and things like that. So from that part of the offense, I thought there were chances they had that they just didn't hit on. And as the game, I liked to see that it wasn't just a rollover, and that, there was a chance in the fourth quarter to take that lead back. And show some resilience. It felt like maybe that was a step Auburn was taking over to get over the hump of playing winning football. But at the end of the day, then you look at overtime where it just things
Falls
go
apart.
backwards, falls apart, and it's totally derailed. So for that, I think Auburn, 17 points is just still not enough for me with where this offense is at and where the team and the roster that Auburn has. Like I said, I like seeing some of that resilience, but I think for me that roster is just, it doesn't make sense. And I don't want to put it all. I hope people understand. I'm not just saying that's coaching. I'm not saying that's play calling, anything like that. I'm not singling anyone out. This is just the first example that comes away. Cam Coleman drops a ball on the sideline, and that's one of the best receivers in the country, and that just can't happen. Now another sideline, he's held like I'm holding my baby boys at night, and we're not getting the call. And then, Jackson doesn't get rid of the ball sometimes. The O-line, it's a conglomeration of things. But when it is put together the right way, it looks like that first drive. And how Auburn can find that consistently, I'm just not sure. So I give it like a C-
on offense.
On offense. I don't want to say D+. That it feels a little strong for me, but I could get there.
Yeah.
It's just, but I think that would be building on truly just like each week. And I want to focus on the Missouri game. For defense, I mean, what can you say, man?
They stymied Ahmad Hardy.
What can you say? And DJ Durkin, his post game interview, he wasn't happy with the third longs, the third downs on crucial moments of the game, where Bo Prabula just found ways to move the football. But Ahmad Harvey came into the league or the game just as one of the most dominant rushers in the SEC at the time, and Auburn just absolutely shut him down. And that's everything you can ask for from your defense is to continue to give you chances, and they did just that. The bend don't break was true. 2 interceptions in the red zone, just an incredible job. So yes, they gave up the game-winning touchdown in overtime. Overtime is what wins and loses games like that. It's still real scores. I just don't count that kind of thing. It's not the same. And so I give the Auburn defense truly an A-. I mean, yes, you lose the game, but I think when you win the turnover battle like they did, and when you stymie the number one rusher coming from the conference coming in, it's an A range for me. And then special teams, I just nobody wants to be mad at Alex, and nobody should be mad at Alex, but he's had an exceptional career and battled through a lot. And to see 2 misses not go his way, especially one that was, one was long, one's very long. He's still coming back from
3 misses, right?
Is it 3?
Is it 3 or am I just compounding things?
I feel like it was.
Maybe it's at least 2. It's at least 2. Maybe I'm it's been that rough. So anyway,
was it 2 and then 1 in overtime? So
I think so.
Okay, I think you're right. And so I was mainly thinking of the 2 in regulation because you make one of those. But there's ifs, ands, and buts. But one was more of a chip shot we're used to seeing him make, and I think he just hooked it. And one was a little bit further that I'm not sure. That's where you talk about when we've heard about his strength being built up and things like that. It just fell pretty short. So, special teams, it wasn't a good night. I don't know really where to put it. I'm going to put it a C, C-. I thought kickoffs was fine, but there wasn't a lot of good that came from it.
Yeah.
I just, not to be sappy, but I'm just going to be sappy. I just hate getting mad at Alex for that, to be honest with you.
I'm 100% with you. I'll go backwards here just briefly on grades. I'm going to give a D+, and I know I just feel
that's
like
fine.
The worst person in the world.
No. It is what it is.
I'm a former kicker, so I'm not going to say anything else because I'm just going to make myself seem like a jerk at that point. I'm just give it D- for special teams. For defense, I was going to go A, but I do need to give a little bit because of those 3rd and longs. I said 3rd and Auburn the entire night while I'm watching
Oh
the
yeah,
game.
100%.
So that is a factor. So A-, I'll agree with you there. Offense, I'm actually going to just give them a C because we got the ball rolling on the ground with Jeremiah Cobb, Omar Mabson. How awesome was that?
Very
like,
cool.
Come on, look, one of the few bright spots that we can talk about.
Perry
Thompson getting to. So you want to talk about that, and then once again, Connor Liu goes down, and Cale Ellis comes in. And look, I don't have the full film in front of me. I'm sure that he struggled at times like he did when he came in previously. But the very first play that he is in, and for the injured Connor Liu, he combo blocks with the guard and sets up a beautiful 40-yard run for Jeremiah Cobb on his first play coming in for the injured Connor Liu. So you want to talk about those 3 alone, that's a small window of happiness in this game to take something away of positivity. So I'll say just a C. So those are my grades there. To just round out our talk about Missori. Very briefly, Arkansas looking forward to. Once again, I always give my perspectives on our Thursday night's show. We walk through that. I want to encourage you all to join us for that. As I've said for weeks now, my schedule is tentative, so keep that in mind too. But we're planning on doing that this Thursday night, and we'll do score factor or predictions of several things, including the score. But for you, I would like a quick preview. And if you're ready to give a score prediction or anything that you'd like to predict about the game.
Yeah, I'm at a point, and I hope I don't sound too pessimistic, but I'm just at a point where I need Auburn to show me something.
I agree.
To not feel like what I think is going to happen. Now it's a road game. Obviously, it's an early road game. We love those, and it's against an old friend, if you want to call him that, and Bobby Petrino, who desperately wants that job back. It's just there's a lot of factors here, and a lot of factors that don't work against an Auburn team that's already struggling to find points. And I think this will be no, that's not right. They played at home this past week, and I was going to say I think this is Petrino's first time back in Fayetteville. So I think they will feel like they have a real chance to win this game, especially pointing up so many points against A&M. So I'm going to say Auburn loses. I desperately hope I'm wrong. But I'm at a point where I think I just need Auburn to show me something else to prove me wrong. I'm not sure about a score. That Arkansas defense does not look very good either.
Let me guess. Let me ask this: since you're not ready for a score prediction, will Auburn get above 20 points?
Yeah, I think Auburn will get above 20 points. I don't think that Arkansas defense is very good at all. Okay. And shockingly, it's not gotten better since they fired our boy T. Will. But I think that
maybe he wasn't the problem.
Maybe not, but I think Auburn's probably going to lose. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope that that's not the case. But some outside factors. Old motorcycle Bobby wants this game.
Yeah, God, we just can't get away from Bobby Petrino. Even whatever.
The world can't get away from Bobby Petrino.
Do you remember previews of the season, the games, when I predicted?
Yeah, you said. You said this one. Yeah, that's right.
We would lose this one is one we're not supposed to. Now, I really hope that I'm wrong, because if we lose this one, that is the spiral is just going to go out of control at this point. I truly think there will be grown men crying in the streets, that has been happening virtually on social media. But I'll talk about it more on Thursday, but I agree with you. I think Auburn's can and should get above 20 points here, and they probably need to be have a chance to win this game on the road. It's not going to be easy, no matter how bad Arkansas looks like they're in a world of hurt right now. So we'll round out our talk with this week of football with that. Moving on to our next major topic and last one this evening. We are going to keep it in the football realm. We have, for the longest time, tried to do this topic, and our schedules have just been crazy. And there's just been too much other things, such as Cam Newton jersey retirements, all that things that we need to smash into coverage. So we are finally today switching over, and I'm going to bring something up for us to utilize in this one, to the next 4 years of SEC schedules for Auburn football. Now, obviously, every SEC team has gotten their schedules. We're not going to really worry about theirs, because this is an Auburn show after all. But we are going to dive a little bit into this today. So let's go ahead and bring it up on screen for you guys to reference here. This is straight from the, I know it's going to be a little, hopefully it's helpful for those that are on, they're watching the live stream or the replay of this. Just to reference, 2000 and from the SEC, this is their graphic. 2006 to 2009, your schedules.
2006.
Did I say 2000? What did I say?
2009. Actually, that's what you said. 26.
I'm trying to move ahead so quickly from this thing. All right. We are going to try to talk about this not in relation to what is currently going on at Auburn, because life's just crazy right now. But we are going to talk about the next 4 years of this. I've seen a lot of varying opinions about this schedule. People think this year is the hardest. I thought differently from a lot of the collective hive mind out there. We'll see what everybody thinks in the comment section when they're watching this part of the show. Now, do you offhand, I know it's been a few weeks since you probably analyzed this, have a year that you're seeing before we go into each one that you thought was the most difficult one, or is there anything that sticks out to you from the schedule that you first like to bring up? Schedules that you want to bring up?
Well, the answer I normally chose when I was taking tests was E, all the above, because they all look hard.
It's the SEC, right?
That's exactly right. You know, I think that, and it's hard, right? Like, given what we know right now, there are 2 on this list that are going to be looking for new coaches as we sit at this moment on Sunday, October 19th at 8:45 p.m. Central Time.
Specific.
That, you know, Florida fired Billy Napier today, and Arkansas is currently without a coach. And so I think that both of those games could look different, and Auburn will play them both next year. But for me, the hardest one is either 26 or 28 as it stands right this second. And I lean 28, but I mean, it's not really to do with anything different than it's just an Alabama and Georgia away game year for one. And so you start there, then you look at the other road games, and it's at the Swamp, it's at Death Valley. And your home games, by the way, are also, you're going to go to Neyland, and you're going to go to, or you're going to have, your other home games are against Tennessee and Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, as we sit right now on Sunday, October 19th, those games look pretty difficult for a full season slate. Yeah. Regardless, Kyle, I want to hear your answer too, but regardless, you can see every team in the conference on this list. Yeah. And that's just a joyous sight. That's something I think you and I both have been clamoring for so long, to be able to go to every stadium and see every team and them come see us. It's how God intended it.
So, a couple things here. First of all, I jumped the gun when they announced this, and I thought they had fixed Georgia and Alabama for us.
Of course
not. I jumped the gun. Probably some of y'all saw the tweet that I put out. I deleted it.
It'd be too easy to do that.
I just was so excited, and then I realized I had read it incorrectly. So, yes, the 3 annual opponents every single year for the next 4 years, and they'll reevaluate: Vanderbilt, Alabama, Georgia. Alabama, Georgia will be home and away, and then the Vanderbilt game will be wherever those are not, which is just outstanding. Not oozing with sarcasm whatsoever. So, but the thing, Austin, yes, every single SEC team is on a schedule for the next 4 years. We will see everybody basically every 2, it looks like, the way they've laid this out, which makes a lot of sense. When they initially announced that they were going to be bringing these out, they said everybody will see each other every 2 years. And I'm thinking, well, if you're following the pattern that's currently set, it technically wouldn't see each other but every 3 years. Now I understand why they laid it out that way. I actually disagree a little bit with how they laid it out. I'll get into that in a second. But the big thing that I have been just wanting forever, Austin, Florida on the schedule. And we get it next year at home. I'm so pumped for this. So excited for it. LSU's coming back here as well. You got Tennessee on the schedule, even though it's on the road. So this is just, and you got to go to Alabama, Georgia. So it is a gauntlet of 2026. But I can't. People keep asking me, are you scared? Are you worried about it? No, like, this is the stuff of dreams that you are hoping for in the SEC. We are literally going to be playing historically the 5 biggest rivals we have all in the same year next year: Alabama, Georgia, Florida, LSU, and Tennessee. It's awesome. Like, I know we're going to suffer, especially given what may be happening. We're not supposed to be referencing things that are going on right now, but I'm just saying, like, this is what has me jammed up jelly tight right here is that 2026 schedule alone. No matter what the home and away situation is, Florida's coming next year. I'm so excited.
Yeah, well, and it's the first time since 12?
Exactly.
No, 2011, 15 years.
Yeah.
It's just insane. Like that's the kind of thing that so many of us wanted to get away from and figure out how to get these teams that are like childhood memories of playing these teams and having these home games experiences. And so I love to see that. And, I think the next question that will be really, really interesting to watch and fun to see is how are these organized? What's the schedule like week by week look like? Does this truly become Amen Corner again? Like, is this what it's about to look like?
Don't tempt me with a good time. Do not tempt me with a good time.
Like I mean, you've got the opportunity for that. And I think fans will have to readjust their expectations. And to some of you that you should already be doing that, but to some I just don't think that they're with a 9-game schedule like this, that what we are used to and our standard for what a what's the word, like a elite season in the SEC will have to change, because it's just will we see undefeated people again? I don't know. I don't know if you see that again. No, with how the league is, and you don't need to. And I think that's the biggest reason behind the SEC doing this is you don't need to get in the playoff. The SEC is well respected enough to do what you need to do to be able to compete for a national championship through the playoff. But it's going to make for a lot more fun games, a lot more fun week to week, and a lot more chaos. What could you not like about it?
Oh man, listen, if that thing somehow lines up, it'll be brutal for a just 5-game stretch of Amen Corner. I don't know what I'll do, Austin. I'll just run. I was about to say I'd do something running through campus, but I feel like that's not smart for me to do at my age. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Definitely not.
I'm talking to someone who's employed by the university too, so I need to shut up. So 2026, I'm so excited. I think you've already brought up 2028, I think is the year. Yeah, you're at Alabama, at Georgia, at Florida, LSU. I mean, it's the reverse.
Lord have mercy.
It's just my goodness. Somebody said, how can we make things more difficult for Auburn? Let's get them all lined up on the road to the same year for Amen Corner.
Outside of officiating, we'll just screw them with the scheduling.
Let's just do that. So the biggest complaints that I have, Austin, with these SEC schedules are two things.
Tell me.
I would not have ordered them the way they did. I think they already had it set up nicely to maintain what they currently were doing and just flip-flop everybody exactly this year. That, like who you didn't play in the SEC this year, pick your 3 opponents that you're playing every year, whoever it's going to be. And I know there would be probably overlap because of that. And maybe that's why this is done this way. But that's my biggest complaint. I think that was already ordered nicely, and I would have preferred to do a home, because it would feel like you're doing home and homes with non-conference teams at this point. 1 year at home, the next year, and then you take a 2-year break, and then you do it again. Listen, we'll take what we can get at this point, just so we can see everybody.
Or you send one to Atlanta.
Or you send, whatever. I wasn't going to go there. I wasn't going to go there, but so that's a complaint for me. In that regard. And then this is a complaint that can't be controlled. You have a 9-game SEC schedule. You will have an odd year where you have more away games than home games in the SEC.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
And thankfully they're doing that to us next year where there's more home. They did. Oh, nope. It's the opposite. They're doing it on the worst year possibly. Sending one to Atlanta. Anyway, anything else that we haven't covered in the SEC schedules that is important to bring up, that I've missed or that you haven't talked about yet?
No, I don't think so. We both talked about who we'd like to see that third one and who we would think it would be. Vanderbilt was that. We both talked about, we thought it might be that. I think we both, I know I wanted Mississippi State. I don't really remember what your preference was. But is there a game on here? Like now that we have the full four games slate or 4-year slate, with all the road games possible and all things, is there a game on here that you're already like kind of circling, like I'm going to make that road trip work?
Oh, man. Your road game you're asking about?
Yeah, road game. Now that everybody's back on the table and you can plan on going to the games, start checking off the list in the conference. Who you got? I got mine. I got two actually.
It's probably Tennessee next year.
100%.
It's Tennessee next year. That'd be a lot of fun to go to. Not too far away from it, from my normal residence.
100%.
So that's probably the easy answer right there. Texas would be fun.
Those are my two. Those are my two.
Okay, so the orange teams, the UTs,
the orange and the UTs, and I mean, just like I just really want to go to Austin.
Oh my
Texas
gosh.
though. But like that's
two
just
for you tonight. That's enough dad jokes.
That's a place I've wanted to go for a long time, and now it makes sense to go see Auburn there. And I think I'm gonna have both those circled if I can help it to get to Tennessee and maybe to Texas the year after. So all you betting buddies in the comments, take notes of which games I'm going to.
I have one more complaint about this, and it's not that big a deal. I've been wanting Texas here in Auburn.
Oh,
forever.
yeah.
We won't get it till 2029.
That's a long way away.
Yeah,
we'll be on our fourth coach by then.
But Austin, it didn't have to be this way. Austin,
nope.
Don't do this. Texas not being here till 2029 just feels like one of the worst parts about this. But we'll get to see them on the road in Austin.
We will.
In 2 years. So
there's probably another Manning going to be there by then.
I mean, probably. Well, he'll be the next best thing that won't pan out. They'll say they're back again, but they won't be. Anyway, I don't know why they're catching so many strays from us tonight. We're not in a position necessarily.
They're the new kids on the block. We get to be the bullies for a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Till 2027, apparently.
So I think we've covered it in at least detail. It's a few weeks out that this has been out there. So I know we're kind of covering this a little bit late in the detail that we wanted to, but 2026, 27, 28, 29, let us know, obviously, your opinions about it. What sticks out to you? What do you like? Don't you like? And then keep in mind, folks, this is a 4-year window for the permanent schedule for the permanent opponents, but also the schedules. So they're going to see how this fares. Will there be more SEC teams added someday? I think pretty much this day and age in college football, you've got to operate in no bigger than 4 or 5 windows, because if you do that, so much can just drastically change and affect this. So this is what we've got for 4 years. Looking forward to it. It's good to know something this solid this far in advance. And Florida and Tennessee are back semi-regularly on the schedule. We don't deserve this much grace and mercy that we are receiving. That's all I'm going to say about the Amen Corner is back in some shape or fashion. So that's going to cover it for this episode of the Auburn Experience podcast, episode 146. We did good this week, not going too close to the hour mark in terms of recording time. We appreciate you guys for hanging out with us this evening. If you want to keep up with me, you can do so on X. If you want to do that on my personal account, I'm not that. Probably don't even need to follow me on the personal account, because frankly, I'll probably just rant and rave about some things that will make a lot of you mad anyway. But it's there. Social media, obviously direct messages for E2C Network accounts, e2cnetwork@gmail.com. Where can they find you, sir?
And you can find me at Austin G. Scott. And Kyle, I'm throwing you a curveball. I just remembered something I wanted to bring up, because you can go to one of my tweets and see all those handles actually, because I tagged Kyle recently in something
you did?
That they named Coach Hoppa. They named it the locker room at the soccer complex for Coach Hoppa. It's a well-deserved, and a round of applause for her. But it's not enough. It's not enough. Name it the Hoppa. We'll be there at the ribbon cutting. Kyle has volunteered to MC the event. We will be there. If you ever decide to do that, Auburn Athletics, it'd be a great time. I'm sure she's very honored and humbled to have the soccer locker room named after her. I think she deserves more.
She deserves whatever she wants for what she's done for the Auburn soccer program, the complex. And selfishly, I just wish that I could walk in to the stadium and scream, "Get to the Hoppa! Get to the Hoppa! Get to the Hoppa!" But now, look, if they run to the locker room,
that's true.
Between half, we can get to the Hoppa as they leave.
Can you imagine hearing Coach James Armstrong, he's not upset. He's upset with them at practice one day or something. And in his British accent, he just screams at him, "Get to the Hoppa."
It's so much more eloquent than we do it as well. So.
Yeah, but he'd have that accent. That'd be great.
Well, regardless, congrats to Coach Karen Hoppa. Very much deserved. You deserve more, but we're happy that they're recognizing her in some way, and we're just going to be selfishly disappointed about this point. So there you go. Episode 146, the Auburn Experience. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. And before we leave you, we'll remind you always that the Auburn Creed asks you to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. We ask you to do the same. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right, folks, that's the end of the recording part of the show. I can give you just a few minutes of my time, but I'll let Austin have any final says that he would like.
He'll need to leave me alone about my hair. It's not even that long.
That was pretty good, actually.
It's freaking ridiculous. I don't understand.
I don't know why you got bothered by it. I was like,
I don't either. Anyway, I gave him a little.
I saw it halfway through, and I was like, I was going to change mine to the Sunshine Pumper just to get those people going.
This is for not everyone else. I'm out of town next week.
I remember.
Okay, so
we'll
just
talk.
something to talk about. If needed, I can make it work.
Austin, don't start tonight. Hinting.
Also, other thing is, we can talk about this too separately, but 150.
There's so much like housekeeping happening probably right now.
Yeah, there is. But if the thing is, if you and I don't talk about it, we forget. Is episode 150?
Mm-hmm.
What are we at right now? Where would that be? It was supposed to be like 2 away, but I think we've.
Let me give me a second here. Sorry, but I know this is
That'd
great.
Be Arkansas this week. Next week is at 147.
So
Vandy,
my schedule that I had written down is a little off. So 146 is today. So we're 2 off of what I had. So that would make it the 16th, the bye weekend, if I'm not mistaken. The bye weekend is
the second bye week of the season.
Yes, is that? Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll talk.
It's kind of, yeah.
We'll talk, bud.
We'll talk.
All right.
All right. Great show. Get out of here.
Thanks, everyone. War Eagle.
War Eagle. Bye. Oh, man. Things that happen here on the show. I don't know why I brought myself completely out of there. Let's put that back on there. All right. Final comments, questions, topics, bringing them up really fast. First of all, I got to give a shout out to Rodney, who gave an amazing super chat as always. Thank you, sir. You are so too kind, too generous. Appreciate that. Thank you for supporting what we do here at E2C Network, as being a contributor in that way. You just being in the chat alone is contributing enough, but thank you so much for your kindness and keeping the lights on, literally. Literally in situations like this, allowing me to have gear to do that kind of thing. All right, your schedule for the week. Keep in mind, as I've been talking about ad nauseum for you all, I am tentative on all my schedules for this week. I think we're going to be okay for the first couple days this week, but my life could actually drastically change again in terms of travel situations very quickly. All for good things. Everything's fine here, but just keep that in mind. Here's our plan, though. As per usual, we will have our next scheduled live stream, which will be the Auburn Family Night Show this Wednesday night at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Hope you can join us for that. We didn't get to do it last week because of basketball, so I know a lot of you maybe want to call in and just talk a little bit more detail about some of the things that have been going on. So that's certainly something we're going to make a priority this week without any conflicts of Auburn basketball. But I hope y'all enjoyed that first ever of the season and first ever of the Stephen Pearl era opportunity to break down a game of that magnitude. We'll have our preview and prediction show as well as planned for now, 9 Eastern, 8 Central on Thursday. And then we'll have a post-game show, not late night, but midday on Saturday for Auburn, Arkansas. And we'll break that down. We'll talk about it, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, look, as you saw kind of happening here, Austin and I are kind of thinking out in advance of a lot of things going on. 150 seems like it lines up perfectly with a bye week. We'll talk about it and see what we can come up with for episode 150. Either way, we appreciate you being here and hanging out with us. Let me see a couple comments here and we'll get out of here. Did my better half put me in the doghouse? Not yet, actually. She's just on the other side of this wall and doing fine. Everything's good over there. But I hope haven't done anything to be put in the doghouse. Hunter says, can't be hurt on bye weeks. Oh, Hunter. Oh, sweet Hunter, how wrong you could be. Is Austin out of town next week to get his UTI treatment? I forgot what the context behind that is, but that is weird. if he was smart, he'll give Gus a call prior to Saturday. He beat them year in and year out. You know, actually, I forgot to make that reference, and that's you know, maybe something we need to look into just a little bit. Gus had something against Arkansas while he was here, and I just don't know what it was. This is from Tim Meadows. Have you noticed game day at Auburn Tiger Walk years ago? The football players had sports coats on, nice shirt, tie, pants. Why did they get away from this? It has more to do with the times and the style. I think sometimes I've seen this asked before, and I don't think you're necessarily implicating this, but a lot of people try to like tie this into that's part of the problem or things like that. I disagree if that's the take that you have on that. In fact, this week, if I wasn't able to be there to cover Tiger Walk, but I think some were in suits and some were not. I think coaches have traditionally said, this is what it's going to be for this game. And usually it's like a tie-in with something they've got. If it's the white out, they'll wear like white jumpsuits and stuff like that. But sometimes they let them choose and do their own style. You know, look, it's a small thing that you can do to let the players feel like they have some autonomy. Some of them want to be in suits, some of them don't. Frankly, I would never want to be in a suit. I think it's weird that people dress up for game days for football in the heat, but that y'all do you. That's, you want to suffer, that's on you. But yeah, it is something that happened more so back in the day. I don't think it's necessarily going to solve anything if that's what we were talking about there. We skipped the yes. Now I remember WT that now. It's been a crazy couple weeks. What are my predictions for the rest of the season? I predict that we will play football next weekend, the weekend after that, have a bye week, and then play 2 more weeks of football. That's what I predict. Tanya, I don't get into a lot of big speculation on the season, you know, especially with so much can change at this point. But football is still to be had, and I hope everybody will enjoy it while you still have it, because as we learned during COVID, you're not guaranteed tomorrow. So, yeah. All right. Thanks so much for being here, hanging out with us, and spending some time being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Hope you guys are having a great start to your week and are enjoying that, and hope to see you guys on our content here on YouTube, social media, everywhere you get it, for where we share the Auburn experience. I'll repeat it one more time as a reminder to you all. The Auburn Creed does ask you to do these things: to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. We are going to ask you to do the same thing.